guys that week to respond. So we expect 1 or 2 more responses. So we think that's going to fit under the amount we have. And I think John says for a budget amount for the additional landscaping, patio, things of that nature, say round numbers $5,000. So from what we have in hand now, we think we can accomplish it. Whether we can get it done by Veterans Day, it depends if the vendor has it in stock. This kind of drives the whole thing, is making it or getting it.
So supplementary, we'll be looking for $5,000 appropriation at town meeting in order to complete the project.
That would cover costs in the spring, or I've heard also that HTC was talking to somebody, perhaps getting some landscapers to donate as well.
But
So for purposes of this construction season, we don't need the $5,000.
Right, but we'd like to appropriate the $5,000, have it available, and if someone's willing to step forward again to assist us with covering the cost, that's great, and we'll have the money.
If not, we'll just
If
don't
not,
need
we'll
it, we'll
have
turn
it,
it
we
back
wanna
in.
get it
Do we have to appropriate the $24,000 in
No.
this article?
Not at all.
We can spend it directly.
You can.
Mr. Prisco?
Steve, does this include a new flag too?
Yes,
Okay, good, thank you.
comes with a pole.
Comes with us.
I throw it in
Was
with a pole.
curious.
All
Hey, they have a brand
the
new-
preliminary bids that we've seen included the flag.
Yeah.
One of them was,
Gonna be
one of them was a
huge
little bit
flag, too.
large.
Yeah,
One
I
of them
figured.
was like
It's, the new flag is going to be bigger than the other one. The other one was undersized for the pole. It's going to be a big flag. Something like 18 by 24.
Entertain a motion. I'm sorry, Mr. Yule.
So I just want to make sure, it's $24,000 for completely installed except for the landscaping?
That includes manufacturing it, delivering it, installing it. There's also a ancillary pole, electrical pole, due to flag regulations. You have to keep a flag lit 24/7, at night. So there's a separate pole and a light shining up on it. The foundation itself, DPW will do the digging. We have to buy the concrete. Put back, that's about $2,500. And then,
But that's all in this
That's in the $25,000, oh, $24,000 that
I'm just
currently,
listing the things, and there's about $1,000 worth of electrical work to wire it up. So all those are in that quote that I mentioned earlier.
So the $5,000.
will be to finish it off in the spring.
Once it's done, is to either modify the landscaping, there's talk of putting some kind of walkway down it, put it perhaps some connection to the Veterans Memorial nearby. That's kind of, that design is TBD.
You know, and the other thing is we're looking to, with some shrubbery, probably hide the ancillary pole. The ancillary pole is going to be 10 feet tall, so we're not going to
gonna
hide
be a
the whole
white
thing
pole.
entirely, a white vinyl pole, so looking to probably put some shrubberies around that.
Do you think we could do something with that gazebo in the meantime? Because those bushes are so
We're
high.
talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the flag, not under this appropriation.
Oh, it would be nice, I'll tell you.
Not unless you got to put the
You can't
flagpole
see,
down there.
you can't see anybody out there when you're sitting.
I don't disagree with you, they need to cut those shrubs down. But,
Rip 'em out.
yeah, take them out.
Okay, so.
$5,000.
And what's the source of funding for this, Greg?
Free cash.
Cash. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to recommend Article 12.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. Delaney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. O'Leary is gonna do this.
So the amount is $5,000?
$5,000.
Fund the open space and recreation plan consultant.
You'll note that the Community Planning Commission has put in a request. The amount of funds is $19,000, and we've proposed funding from free cash.
And the last one we did was 2004? 2007.
And that's covered in your plan.
It is.
Any questions of the CPC at this point?
The last one was an excellent document. I assume this is going to be equally as good.
Oh, it's gonna be an update to this, to the
it was a very
existing
good
document, correct? I'll entertain a motion for Article 13.
I move to Article 13.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, we'll hear a second. Second by Mr. O'Leary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Who wants to do that, Steve? Article 14, amend Mass General Chapter 44, Section 55C, and amend Code General Laws, add a new chapter, Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Mr. Balakonis.
I'd ask that the CPC, Heidi Griffin, address this issue.
Mrs. Griffin.
Actually, if we could do Article 15 first, and the reason why is because Article 15 creates the Affordable Housing Trust. You wouldn't want to have an affordable, well, you could, but you generally wouldn't want to have an affordable housing trust without a funding mechanism, and the funding mechanism is included in the inclusionary zoning bylaw. So if we could take them out of order, I think that would be more logical for the discussion.
Make that request at town meeting now.
No, I think she's
No, I
just
think
saying for this.
I'm just saying for tonight.
Oh, for
Just for the-
discussion?
Just for
sure,
tonight.
absolutely. Article 15.
Okay, so I put together a handout in an attempt to summarize the bylaw.
That's the one you emailed us?
That's the one I emailed you all. But does anyone need a paper copy? Would anyone like a paper copy? Well,
I printed it already.
okay. Okay,
Well, I
so,
got it like at,
Haven't got
Quarter
you-
past
Haven't
five.
got you completely,
well, I wanted to be able, in case I wanted to make notes on this thing, which I didn't even have a chance to read it.
well, we've had this item on our agenda, I think at least 3 or 4 times this summer. We had our public hearing last week, and essentially what an inclusionary zoning bylaw is it requires a developer to produce either a percentage or a number of affordable units in every development. And what we had done, just to kind of backtrack, the reason, or I guess the preamble or the generating reason why we wanted to go ahead and start this is because, as you know, the 2010 census data was released, and they actually, fortunately for tonight, finally updated it on the website. I attached that in the handout. So we're at 9.6%, which means that we are 24 units short. And if I'm going too fast, just tell me, and I'll go a little bit slower. And in addition to that, what I did do today is figure out how many building permits we're averaging per year for new units. We're averaging 13. Obviously, the economy is kind of slow. So now you're going to multiply, and that's just up to this year. So let's assume 15. Bad economy times 10 years. That's another 150. 10% of that is 15. So essentially what you're looking to do for 2020 is catch up on the amount that you're short of 24, plus all the units that are going to be generated over the next 10 years, which would bring you up to a total number of 40. Does everyone get that? Okay, I know, because it's a little bit confusing with the numbers. So we actually got somewhat lucky, and we were actually somewhat proactive when the J.T. Barry site came along. At that point, I don't remember our exact percentage, but you were down 406 units of affordable housing, making your subsidized housing inventory somewhere, I'm going to guess, in the bleak amount of about 4%. So what you were subjected to at that point were 40B developments throughout town, which put an enormous strain on, I'm going to assume not only the ZBA, but pretty much every land use board in here, as well as the Board of Selectmen. So what this does is it's proactive. It attempts to get ahead of the curve and create a zoning bylaw that will have a developer donate 1 affordable unit for every 6 units created, and then after that, 1 affordable unit every 7th unit thereafter. So there would be 1 affordable unit on 6, then at number 13, then at number 20. That's pretty much the basics of it in a nutshell. However, in order to entice a developer to make it work, what we did is we researched, I don't know, that binder over there, about 25 communities. There are over 100 communities in Massachusetts that have an approved inclusionary zoning bylaw. And what we started off with for incentives for this time is we would like to waive the building permit fees, which that is actually completely under your jurisdiction. The only person who can waive building permit fees, and you could expand that if you so chose to electrical and plumbing fees for an affordable unit, is you, because you're the fee setting authority for that. That, and speaking with the building inspector, would be about $2,500. It's $10 for every 1,000 per the cost of construction. I think the most important incentive in here for developers is for the affordable unit itself. It allows the CPC to have the discretion to give exemptions for lot area. So in other words, if you had a traditional 6-lot subdivision, in order to help the developer make up the lack of money that they're going to be able to gain, for lack of a better word, because they can only sell it at the affordable units dictated by HUD, if it's an affordable unit, so that they're capped. If we reduce that lot per se to 10,000 square feet, that gives them an extra 30,000 square feet and the rest of the development to play with their other land area to possibly get an additional market rate unit. So that was what we thought was one of the more important incentives. And there are also, in addition to that, there are alternate methods. If a developer doesn't want to donate an affordable unit or can't place an affordable unit, they can donate money instead. There are, or donate land. And if they donate money, what they have to do is take the last 3 fiscal years of the single median family home value in North Reading, which in working with the assessor today, that turns out to be $461,316.67. And subtract that from the cost of an affordable unit. That money would then go into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which would in theory be the next article, and can only be used for purchasing land or property for the purpose of affordable housing. They can also donate land if they so choose, and they would have to give appraisals to prove that the cost of the land is the same as what I just kind of explained, the cost of the house, cost of the land, cost of housing. Is everyone following me there? Thus far?
Has this been fashioned under, after some other communities?
Yes, actually, when we started off, we were looking at, it was kind of a combination of 3 different communities, sent it to town council, and it's been fashioned after the town of Mansfield, because he thought it was the simplest to digest, believe it or not. I know it seems a little complicated, but if you look at it in its totality, it's only a 4-page bylaw.
What's the calculation again, if they donate money?
If they donate money, it's the average of a single median family home dictated by the Board of Assessors, so that's why I checked with the assessor today, for the last 3 fiscal years. And then what I did in that little handout is she figured out what those numbers were for the last 3 years, and I divided that by 3, and it equals 461, 316, 67. So you're probably looking at, I'm gonna guess, it depends on, HUD goes by bedrooms, number of bedrooms, and that dictates the price for an affordable unit. I'm gonna say it's about a $200,000 contribution. If they
Can you
want
take that
to
number and subtract it
contribute.
from what the cost, what the sales price would be of an affordable unit?
Yes.
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 A few questions. The 2 reasons that the CPC is doing this is it to give them the authority to enforce these bylaws?
Correct. They would be the special permit granting authority for the bylaw. But it's also, another important effort of it would be, it's part of long-range planning
Right.
for
No, I
our
understand.
affordable housing
There's some
component.
good- You've done a great job, and there's some good things in here. I just have some curiosities, and I want some people to hear these.
Okay.
Unless, I'm sorry, are you not finished?
No, go right ahead. I'm fine.
All right, we're doing this also because the state mandates the 40B, and we have to have some
Yes.
type of policy in place.
Well, the state has the 40B comprehensive permit law that says if a town, the burden's on a town, doesn't have 10% of its housing stock be affordable, that they are subject or open to 40B comprehensive
But
permits.
do we need to have this bylaw in place in order to achieve that?
I guess this is the tool, like I said, over 100 communities are using it.
I understand that, I mean, they did that on their own, but is it a necessity to do that? Can we just follow state guidelines without having this in place?
There aren't
I see
any.
this as a way to control development and get our 10% housing stock up to that 10%.
I understand
Yes.
I understand.
So we can
Without being hit
I'm
the
not-
way we were being hit before.
Right.
Central Street is a good example.
Conceptually, this
We don't wanna
is
have
a
that.
good plan, and I see some really good things in here. I'm just raising the question because I think the question is for the benefit of people outside who are listening to this, who don't understand so many, okay, that this is a plan that is designed to regulate our growth. Now, for example, when we talked,